Bold claim. The White House says the Obama administration wiretapped Trump Tower and calls on Congress to investigate. Plus, after a string of anti-Semitic threats across the U.S., we'll have a live report from Jerusalem to see how this is playing out there. And borderland. The U.S. government wants to build a barrier here to keep undocumented migrants out. One man says he'll give his land away for free. Hello, I'm Lynda Kinkade. Welcome to CNN Newsroom. We begin in the U.S. with a stunning investigation in Washington. The head of the House Intelligence Committee says the panel will look into whether the Obama administration conducted any surveillance before the election last year. The White House called for an investigation into whether Mr. Obama abused his power. A day earlier, President Trump said Mr. Obama wiretapped him before the election. An Obama aide says the former president never ordered surveillance of any U.S. citizen. So what exactly is the White House claiming, and is there any proof, and why are the allegations being made now? Well, for more, let's go to our Ryan Nobles, who's following this from our Washington bureau. Ryan, this story is certainly unfolding very quickly. The White House press secretary called for this investigation into whether there was an abuse of power. It sounds like the House Intelligence Committee has a lot to examine.
Not just the House Intelligence Committee, Lynda, but the Senate Intelligence Committee as well. This is something that's being investigated on both sides of the U.S. Congress. And in what the White House press secretary is essentially asking for is an extension of the existing investigation into Russia's alleged hacking of the United States election. Take a look at this statement from White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer from earlier today. It said, quote, reports concerning potentially politically motivated investigations immediately ahead of the 2016 election are very troubling. President Donald J. Trump is requesting that as part of their investigation into Russian activity, the Congressional Intelligence Committees exercise their oversight authority to determine whether executive branch investigative powers were abused in 2016. Neither the White House nor the president will comment further until such oversight is conducted. So essentially, what the White House is asking for is for these two intelligence committees who are already looking into this claim of Russian interference in the American election to also look at the former administration to see what role they may have played in this, and if the investigation of the investigation crossed a line of illegality. To a certain extent, making this even more confusing. But Lynda, already the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, who is a Republican and a Trump supporter, Chairman Devin Nunes, he released a statement not too long ago saying that the focus point of the House Intelligence Committee's investigation is the U.S. government's response to actions taken by Russian intelligence agents during the presidential campaign. And as such, the committee will make inquiries into whether the government was conducting surveillance activities on any political parties, campaign officials, or surrogates, and we will continue to investigate this issue if the evidence warrants it. So, Lynda, this is the House Intelligence Committee essentially telling the president, yes, we're going to look into this. We're going to see if there is any substance to these tweets that the president put out yesterday morning.
The investigation into the investigation, it certainly is becoming very convoluted. And to add into all of that, the former director of the National Intelligence, James Clapper, has responded, and he says Trump was never the subject of wiretapping.
Yeah, that's right. So James Clapper was on Meet the Press on NBC this morning and was asked directly by Chuck Todd, the host, if he knew of any surveillance tactics that were put in place of the then candidate Donald Trump, and this was his response.
I will say that for the part of the national security apparatus that I oversaw as DNI, there was no such wiretap activity mounted against the president-elect at the time, or as a candidate, or against his campaign. I can't speak for other Title III authorized entities in the government or a state or local entity.
I was just going to say, if the FBI, for instance, had a FISA court order of some sort for a surveillance, would that be information you would know or not know?
Yes.
You would be told this?
I would know that.
If there was a FISA court order on something like this?
Something like this, absolutely.
And at this point, you can't confirm or deny whether that exists?
I can deny it.
There is no FISA court order?
Not to my knowledge.
Of anything at Trump Tower?
No.
So Clapper pretty clear there that to his knowledge, there was no wiretapping of Trump or Trump Tower. But he also went on to say in that interview there was also no evidence of collusion between the Russian government and the Trump campaign. So there's something both sides can take from this interview. So Lynda, to your point before, still a lot of confusion over this issue in a big way.
Yeah, that certainly is. And it's going to keep you very busy. Ryan Nobles, good to have you with us. We are going to stick with this story.